Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Bottom Line Sports Show, an inside look at all game day sports action. From Major League Baseball to college football and basketball, the NFL and the NBA, key matchups, developments, point spreads and totals, line changes and game analysis. It's a radio show that talks its name. The Bottom Line from San Diego. It's game time with the Bottom Line Sports Show. We welcome you on this Saturday morning live from San Diego, WS Radio Network, as we bring you right into the world of college football on this Saturday. Some marquee games no bigger than the Red River rivalry down in Dallas, Texas. Oklahoma and Texas, that should be a great football game. A number of solid contests scheduled for today. San Diego State, a little closer to home, travels to Boise to play Boise State. LSU travels to Florida to play in the Swamp. We have Miami of Florida versus a hapless Florida State team. Nebraska 0-4 going up against the Wisconsin Badgers. And boy, we got a heck of a program ready to deliver. We go to the Big Easy to kick it off with Matty B. Matty B, top of the morning.
Good morning, Felix. It's the most wonderful time of the year. College football in full swing, NFL in full swing. Hockey has just dropped the puck, and hoops is on the way. Preseason games in the NBA, and, of course, on the diamond, we're in the postseason. Yankees and Red Sox yesterday. Dodgers all over the Braves. Houston doing what they do, home runs, great pitching, and the Brewers and the Rockies and the Brewers doing everything they need to do right now as well. It's a fantastic time of year.
Without any doubt. Inside the studio we go, the captain on a Saturday morning, the Bottom Line Sports Show, off and running at 8:02 on a Saturday.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, Felix. My birthday was a couple days ago, and I'm telling you, this is a birthday week, and I couldn't be – what a present I have right here with the action that we have on Saturday and Sunday. Not only that, but tonight we also have the big fight. Conor McGregor's fighting this big Russian guy. And Conor McGregor's actually an underdog. He's plus 150, and the big favorite, what's his name, Khabib Nurmagomedov, is minus 170. So we got action all night long, starting at 9 o'clock with Texas and Oklahoma.
Without question. Big fight. You were chuckling, Matty B. What are you chuckling about?
Yeah, I want Captain to say his name again.
Yeah, me too.
That's Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's what we talk in Russian. Okay, my friend? And he's 26-0.
Did either of you guys happen to catch any part of the presser, the one that Conor was at and Khabib was not at?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear what he said about Khabib's manager?
No.
That this guy was caught in Cairo, Egypt on 9/11 with 5 different passports, and he turned informants afterwards to snitch on whoever he was working with.
Oy.
Wow.
Is this true? Like, can this be true? Conor is saying this on the presser like it is gospel.
He said Khabib is a chicken jaw rat. And I said, what did he just say? He said he's a chicken jaw rat. And I figured, well, I never, ever heard of a chicken jaw rat. But the captain's is right. Khabib, undefeated, coming into the Octagon tonight in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Center there, T-Mobile Arena. And Khabib is, yesterday I looked at it, minus 165.
It's up to 170 now.
And Conor is plus 155. So we'll see. That's what it was yesterday. It'll fluctuate. Odds do that all the time. What are the odds if it's a draw?
15-1, Felix.
15-1 on a draw. What do you think, Matty B? We play the draw tonight?
I mean, you got 2 different styles here. Khabib's a wrestler.
This is only a 1-hour show, Matty B.
I know. I'm breaking it down for you real quick. It's what you believe. Do you believe that the striker can handle keeping the wrestler away? Do you believe the wrestler is going to get in and take down the striker? Whatever you believe, forget the names and bet the style, because they both great. They both great. So which style do you believe is going to win tonight? And go with it.
Well, it's just very interesting, because the odds to win the fight, let's say Nurmagomedov is 1-170. You're looking at, if he wins on points, you get 7-2. If McGregor wins on points, you're going to get 10-1. That's if it goes 5 rounds. But if Khabib knocks out McGregor in the first, it's 6-1. There's some really tasty odds up there. So
now, are the odds the same for knockout versus tap out? Is that just
knockout decision? Knockout and decision.
All right, so tap out's got to be considered part of knockout.
Right.
Okay.
McGregor 2 years away from the octagon, so he comes back to fight in his natural element tonight. Should be great.
Well, that's tonight. Let's get to today's action.
Without any doubt about that. I was leading me right to it. Oklahoma, Texas, Matty B. That kicks it off at 9 o'clock, as the captain mentions. Oklahoma, I was watching the betting of this game. Oklahoma opened up at 8. It is now down to 7. The total is right around 60.5. What's your thoughts?
I think Oklahoma's got too much for Texas. Texas has done very well this year, but the talent level on the Oklahoma side is just too much for Texas in this game, I think. And I think it's going to be the over. I want to say that Oklahoma covers, but I wouldn't put a bet on that. I think that it could be within that range, but I think this game's going over. There's going to be a whole lot of scoring. I think Texas might get a couple scores later on to make it a closer game. But Kyler Murray, I don't know how you're going to stop him. I don't know how Texas' defense is going to stop him. That kid is ridiculous, and I think he leads Oklahoma to a good victory.
I concur with you. I think it's an over bet here. I don't like the sides because of the fact that it's in a neutral field, and you're going to have split on the fans. But I don't like the number at 7.5, 8 right now. But I do like the over there. I do over 60.5 there, Felix.
It's always been on a neutral field between these two teams, going back to 1960 in the Cotton Bowl. That's where they're going to be playing, just outside of Dallas. And Oklahoma really turned it on last week without any question after a near scare against Army the week prior. Texas got off to a rocky start under Tom Herman, 0-1. They have reeled off 4 straight wins. It should be a great football game. I would give the check mark to Oklahoma as well. Would I be comfortable in laying the 7.5? No, I don't think so. Would I be comfortable in betting the 60.5 as a total? No, I don't even think so. Most of these games are played at a very close to the vest style. The separation factor as far as points, I would say if you would go back in years and you would add up all the scores of these games, I think over the last 20 years, it would probably be less than 5 number. That number might be inflated just a little bit. We'll find out. Captain, give us another game that you think might have some value betting-wise.
Well, you got Florida State going into Miami. Miami's the 13.5-point favorite. Over-under is 48.5. You're talking about a Florida State team that's absolutely brutal. This is a horrible team. And Miami's front 7 on the D is just going to decimate this line. I see this as a blowout in Miami today. I like the Canes today minus the 13.5.
Well, here a case in point again. No matter how bad the teams are, when they match up against a rival like Miami and Florida State over the years, that game is decided by 3 to 5 points. I agree. Florida State is really horrible. I mean, they're really bad. They were all out the last couple of weeks just to get a couple of wins, and one of those shouldn't have been a win. It should have been a direct loss to them. What's your thoughts, Florida State, Miami, Matty B?
I'm embarrassed by this game because this should be a fantastic game. And yes, rivalry, to throw records out and blah, blah, blah. But Florida State's got you, me, and the captain blocking an offensive line right now, and that's not going to get it done against that Miami defense. I think Miami just eats them up. I think the defense might get 2 touchdowns in this game.
What game were you looking at that might have some value, Matty?
I got a couple that I think will have some value. I like actually the under for Michigan and Maryland. I think defense will reign a little supreme here, and I don't see Michigan scoring enough points to go over the 47.5 that I'm seeing for the line. I think, a 28-10 victory,
Spread
like
17,
that for Michigan. I mean, maybe even 28-13, something like that, where you're getting around 40 points total in the game. I think that's going to be a good play there at the under. And I'm liking Va-Tech at night at home, Felix. I'm not trusting Notre Dame yet. You got to go into Va-Tech in a night game. Notre Dame on the road against a ranked team at night. I don't like it. I don't like it for the Irish.
That's a time change, so it's going to be a 5 o'clock game tonight, I believe. And, going into that, it's 7 points, over-under is 55.5. You got a Notre Dame team for the rest of the year, except for USC at the end. They don't play anybody. I mean, they have a pedestrian schedule the rest of the way. They're just going to roll. So unless they beat up Va-Tech in this game and Va-Tech comes back and beats somebody else, that's the only way they're going to get in the Golden Four there. Notre Dame, this is a trap game for me. I hate this game. I'll watch it, but I hate it. I'll root for Notre Dame, but I don't think. I think 7's a really treacherous number, especially at night in Virginia. No, that's a stay away game for me, Felix.
I want to go back to Maryland, Michigan. That game opened up at 52.5. I had it at 48.5. I just looked now, current real time on it's 45.5. So it appears that the smart money is coming in with the under, Matty B.
Yeah, I mean, I had seen the bet early on in the week, and the first number was a 5 on it. I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely under. And you saying now it's down to 45, and I was looking last night, it was 47.5. So, it's, people are seeing, Michigan, could they have an offensive explosion? Yeah, it's a possibility, but we haven't seen it so far this year, really, outside of the Nebraska game. We all know how bad Nebraska is. Maryland's not that bad, but they're not extremely talented on offense. And I don't, defensively, I think they do enough to keep them in the game for the most part, but I think Michigan wins comfortably in a lower-scoring game.
Well, with the scandal at Maryland, you didn't know what to expect with the coach on the ropes and dismissing players and the allegations. They had a player that had passed away, and there's lawsuits against the football program as well as University of Maryland. So you really didn't know what to make of Maryland. They open up against Texas, and they beat Texas their first game. And they've been pretty surprising. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. Now, Captain just mentioned a little bit about Notre Dame's schedule. They'll play Pittsburgh next week, and then they'll have a bye week, and then they'll come out here to the West Coast to play at Qualcomm Stadium. And Notre Dame will match up against – who will they match up against here in San Diego, Matty B?
Navy.
What? Oh, Navy? Really?
Navy, yeah. We got it.
Cool.
Navy and Notre Dame. Navy and Notre Dame, October 27th at the Q. What do you think about what's happening at Nebraska? Nebraska 0-4 under Scott Frost.
It's a bad team. It's a bad football team who's taken over, and
they play Wisconsin today.
Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. Wisconsin is going to roll all over them as long as Hornibrook doesn't do too much, doesn't try to do too much. Let the offense do what it does. Let them run the ball down Nebraska's throat, and don't do too much because Hornibrook is complete Jekyll and Hyde. You're either going to get a really good outing or it's going to be ugly. And if it's ugly, then it allows Nebraska back into this game because that means there are turnovers and Nebraska has a shot. But I don't see that happening. I think Wisconsin is just too big up front, and Nebraska is just an awful football team right now.
A team that might be starting to put it all together is here on the West Coast out of the Pac-12, and those are the Huskies from Washington. They go into the Rose Bowl tonight to play UCLA. UCLA currently a 15.5-point underdog, Matty B.
UCLA is Nebraska for the Pac-12. They are terrible. New coach coming in, all the, pomp and circumstance that came with it, and Brian Kelly, and oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, it takes time. He doesn't even have his guys yet. He just got there. He's working with what they've had already. And what they've had already is overrated talent that hasn't performed on the field, and it's been that way for a few years now, even with Rosen back there at quarterback. And that's just a bad football team. And, I mean, the fact that you're having them do drills during a game because they're not motivated enough to play in the game, that's bad. That's really bad. And UCLA is just showing it on the field this year. They're a terrible team. Washington, another game that they should roll all over.
Chip Kelly just really doesn't have the right formula like he did have up in Oregon.
Well, you need the guys. You need a quarterback that can move. You need a guy that's going to be mobile. I mean, give him a couple of years where he gets to go recruit and bring in his kind of guys for his kind of offense, and it'll be a different story in a couple of years. I mean, absolutely, they will not be 0-4 when we're talking about UCLA 2 years from now.
Well, you don't know about that.
I'm willing to bet a good amount of money, and we can record this, bring it back, we'll play it on the radio 2 years from now. UCLA, 4 weeks into the season, will not be 0-4.
Well, it's hard to be 0-4 when you have cupcake.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to lose every game.
Well, it's hard to lose.
People think it's easy.
When you're playing the Sisters of the Poor, it's pretty hard. Like Alabama played University of Lafayette, Louisiana, last weekend. So it's hard to lose the first, 4 games of your schedule when you're matched up against those.
I don't understand why the SEC does that.
Well, it's just
scheduling random cupcake teams in the middle of your season. Like at the beginning of the season, I understand.
Yeah.
You give that school some money, they come in, they paid $2 million to lose ugly, and then it's on to your conference. That's what the Big Ten does, Pac-12 does, Big 12 does, ACC, everyone else. But the SEC, all of a sudden, the Citadel is playing Alabama in November. It's like, why?
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm going to ask Captain this question, and then he's going to toss it over to you. Right now, if the selection committee had to pick the 4 best teams in college football, who would they be? First to the captain, then to you, Matty B.
I would say Alabama, Georgia. Alabama, Georgia. I like Notre Dame. And Ohio State on a neutral field, yeah. I'll go with those 4.
I swap out Notre Dame with Clemson right now. Still,
I don't like that. If I could interject, you've got not 1, not 2, not 3. You have 4 freshman quarterbacks there. When one just coming off a concussion. So I don't know.
I like their NFL lines.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Their defensive, unbelievable. But, I did something very interesting this week because a friend of mine, he was going down to Mexico to make some bets, so I gave him some money, and he went down. And I was looking at the card, and I bet early in the week, and I go, you know what? I'm going because, like Bob said, backdoor covers. And that's the same thing. Me and Felix were talking about it on the way in, where Alabama was up 56-0. And then the backdoor cover came in when, they just went to sleep on the stick. And that happens in all these games. They'll get up big at halftime. So I played a halftime card. I played a 5-team halftime card today, and I used Alabama minus 19, Boise State against San Diego State minus 8, Ohio State minus 14 against Indiana, Memphis minus 19 against UConn, a brutal team, and then Georgia minus 14 against Vanderbilt. I took all the big boys, laying all the wood, just took them at halftime so I don't get the backdoor cover. And I like the way I'm looking right now. What do you think, Matty?
I like it. I do like it. Bob was absolutely right last week with Alabama. We were talking about that and, how big the cover was and how they could just stop playing in the second half at some point, and they did. And so playing that halftime score, especially with a team like Alabama, I think is very smart. And I like Alabama a lot today. They have a quarterback, and they've never really had a quarterback during all their dominance. They've never really had that great, unbelievable quarterback, and they do now. And they're just disgustingly scary to watch. And Arkansas is a bad football team. I like Alabama a lot in this game. I like the over because of Alabama's offense, and I like them covering because of Alabama's offense and defense.
Excellent. Looking at one other game that is on the docket today, it's the late game. Utah goes into Stanford. Stanford's a 4-point favorite over under 46 in this game. How do you see it?
I wouldn't touch the spread. I just I like Stanford, but could I see them, having a little bit of trouble in the, altitude not in the altitude, but having a little bit of trouble just staying on and staying in it the whole way through. We've seen them kind of go away from things that worked. They were doing things that worked against Notre Dame in the first half, and then they just kind of stopped going with it. And Utah is a tough matchup. They're always going to bring it and play hard. And I could see it being a field goal game, but it's down to 4. Yeah, I kind of like Stanford covering. It's right there at that line where I like them covering, but I'm not sure if I want to put my money by where my mouth is.
LSU minus 2.5 going into Florida, and the over-under in that game is 44.5. LSU going into Florida, given 2.5 points. How do you see that game?
I like the under with these two defenses. I think LSU is a better football team, and they should win this game. It's always tough going into the swamp, but it's not like LSU doesn't have the experience in doing that a few times throughout history. But the defenses are gonna reign in this one, and I think it's a high number for these two teams. I think this could easily be like a 17-13 kind of game, 13-10 kind of game. So I like the under a lot for LSU in Florida.
This game was LSU -1 earlier in the week. It has now gone to, as Captain mentioned, 2.5. I'm keeping an eye on one of the games I circled on the board. I like Florida in this spot. LSU hasn't convinced me yet that they are a good football team. This will be the telltale, without any doubt, today when they go into Gainesville to play play Florida, which Florida is playing underneath the radar. So I like Florida in this spot, Matty B, and I like them a lot. I like Florida to win outright and beat LSU at home.
I mean, you're allowed to think that. We all have days. I don't understand how you're going to think that with the abysmal showing last week for Florida offensively and losing to Kentucky, which apparently was the season ender for them, against a team that beat Miami, beat Auburn, ran all over Ole Miss last week in a game that everyone thought was a trap game because they were going to be looking ahead to Florida, remember? Well, they clearly weren't, as they beat the crap out of Ole Miss 45-16. But like I said, I'm not even touching the line. I just think that the defenses are going to reign supreme here and keep this score low.
You brought up Kentucky. How about this? Kentucky goes to Texas A&M. Kentucky gets 5.5 points coming off that big win in last week. Quarterback Terry Wilson. I mean, this guy, what he does with his legs is almost better than he does with his arm. I like the points in this game with Kentucky going against Texas A&M. Matty, what do you think?
I think this is a halftime game that you should play if you're going to do something with Kentucky because it's going to get crazy in there at A&M, especially when when the sun starts going down. It's a 6:00 kickoff their time, so it's still up when they're starting the game. But it's going to get nighttime, and things seem to change there at night. The 12th man shows up a little bit more. So I think this is one of your halftime plays, Cap.
Gotcha. Well, there's another game I was looking at, and it was Syracuse, who just lost a really tough game to Clemson last week. They go into Pittsburgh. They're laying 3.5 to Pittsburgh. Over-under is 58.5.
Tommy versus Felix. Tommy versus Felix. Felix, how you feeling about it?
I'm concerned that Syracuse is only a 3.5 point favorite. I think this is a trap play right here.
Well, it's in Pittsburgh. It's a tough place to play.
Come on, it's not a tough place to play. Have you ever played there? You don't even know where they play.
Not in Happy Valley.
It's just like the Carrier Dome, right? It's just a tough place to play.
No, it's not. I mean, Syracuse, without any question, under Dino Barbers, shouldn't have lost to Clemson last week. And they are a very, very good football team. I don't know anything about Pitt. I haven't followed Pitt. But one thing that caught my eye was the fact that it's only 3.5. So people look at this game and go, oh, Syracuse, they played Clemson last week. They almost won. They are a better team. Syracuse, okay, no matter what the number is. I think this number's out of whack. I think 3.5. I like Pitt in the spot. I like Pitt in the spot. Simply the fact the number's 3.5.
So if it was a higher number, you'd like Syracuse?
That would give me an indicator that would give me an indicator that, the game was expecting to go Syracuse's way. The 3.5, I don't like it at all. They're almost begging you to bet Syracuse in this spot.
So your number would be like 5.5, 6 in this game.
6, I think.
Okay.
I think Syracuse probably came in as a 7-point favorite against Pitt, but they're on the road, and Pitt really doesn't have much of anything. So if Syracuse is 4-1, and their only loss is to Clemson, and Clemson could, as you mentioned, Matty B, would be a Final Four team for you, then doesn't this number suggest something smelly going on at 3.5?
I mean, I don't know if it suggests that or if it suggests that, you don't know how these kids are going to respond after the heartbreaker at the end last week against Clemson. Are they going to bounce back and be the offense that they've been for most of the season, which has been a rather productive air attack and fast-paced attack? Excuse me. Or are they going to be so heartbroken that they don't bring in enough against Pitt and let the Panthers stay in this game?
Well, let me tell you this. I like the under in this game, 58.5. I love Syracuse's defense. They have a really, really good defense. And, speaking of the Syracuse game, look at the Clemson game. Look at who they played last week. Clemson's a 20.5-point favorite with a freshman quarterback coming off a concussion at Wake Forest. I know that Wake Forest just lost to Notre Dame, but we'll find out. We'll be right back. We're going to be right back on The Bottom Line. This is the captain, along with Felix Taverna, Matty B, and we've got more guests on the way. Stay tuned. We're going to have all the action, ACT-ION, right after this short timeout.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Cybersecurity is the fastest growing job sector. The SoCal Cyber Cup Challenge encourages kids to consider computer security as an interesting course of study and a valuable career path. Securing Our eCity helps lead this youth competition to create interest and awareness among students and their schools. The SoCal Cyber Cup Challenge. Learn more at securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 more hours. That's 866-734-6877.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Bottom Line Sports Show, an inside look at all game day sports action. From Major League Baseball to college football and basketball, the NFL and the NBA, key matchups, developments, point spreads and totals, line changes and game analysis. It's a radio show that talks its name. The Bottom Line from San Diego. It's game time with the Bottom Line Sports Show.
We are back here, second half of the Bottom Line Sports Show. We welcome you no matter where you might be. And they're about 30 minutes away from the first kickoff, and that'll be the big one down in Dallas. The Red River Rivalry. Say that 20 times real fast. Oklahoma currently favored in that game, 60.5. We are joined with Hut. Bob Hutton joining us. Hut, how you doing on a Saturday?
I'm well rested, I'll tell you that.
Well rested from what?
Rearing to go. Pardon?
Rested from what?
It was just a long week. So I'm back in Arizona. Left California on Tuesday and just had to catch up on some stuff. And I just had a nice sleep there, Felix. So. Right. I'm ready I've got my notes, and I'm ready to go ahead and throw my 2 cents in here.
All righty. Well, we missed a 10-star play last night. There's no question about it, and it jumped off the page. And, you know, sometimes you see a game over the hundreds that you look at and say, this one is really, really a one-sided affair. Well, it was last night down in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Georgia Tech just put on a big hurt. They were a 5.5-point favorite over Louisville Cardinal. And talking about coaches that are having a rough time, Scott Frost at Nebraska, you have Chip Kelly at UCLA, and you also have a Bobby Petrino down in Louisville. All righty, so by the way, congratulations on a very, very nice week last Sunday. You were just in fuego, 4-0. You were lined up perfectly last Sunday on the radio as far as your selections and some of your personal picks, and I'm sure that probably you rested quite well because it took you 3 or 4 days to count all the money that you won from last Sunday. But that's a canceled check, and today is a brand new slate. Give me your top game that you're zeroing in on.
I really jumped when it jumped out on the page to me as far as, and it's, you know, Felix, I'm not looking for the nationally televised games or anything like that, but this week I love Texas in this game today. I think they're better coached. Oklahoma, if you look at the level of competition they've played against so far this year, it is to say it's mediocre would be an overstatement. So I think that Texas is, you know, and the same thing happened last year with Texas when they lost their opener, and then they seem to come around and they run off, you know, a number of wins in a row. And this team plays solid defense. They can run the ball. Their quarterback he's not flashy, but he gets the job done. Oklahoma's quarterback is a big-time athlete, but they give up a lot of points. And when you give up points to a team that could run the ball and maybe control the ball and throw a defense at you, especially the level of competition that Oklahoma's played so far this year, I love. It opened at 7.5 earlier in the week, and I saw last night it went down to 7. I assume it's still at 7, but I love Texas in this game plus 7.
Well, one of the prerequisites of being in the Big 12. And matter of fact, they're just adding that to a declared major, and that is defense, right, Matty B?
Yeah, right. No, they can't even spell defense in the Big 12. So, that's why I like the over in this game. Because
Can they spell defense in that conference?
I think they spell it with a C.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, they really don't. They really don't protect the goal line without any question. And we got another Big 12 game that's just about ready to go down in Morgantown, where Kansas visits West Virginia. And West Virginia is another big whopping favorite. A team that's playing underneath the radar are the Mountaineers. They're top 10 now, and they are 26.5-point favorite against an improved Kansas team. I don't know how much more improved. Bob Hutton, who is your second game that you like?
Well, when you bring up, and last week I remember we were talking about Alabama was laying 49 or something like that, and when I came on the radio, I said bet Alabama in the first half, and the number in the first half was 31, and I think they were winning at halftime 49-0, and they didn't cover the spread, Felix. After that, they let some backdoor touchdowns come in. They put in their second and third team. But to get to my point here, I like West Virginia because you mentioned that game. I like West Virginia in the first half here today. I think they'll lay it on them in the first half. And Will Grier is a very good quarterback. And I know we've talked about the Big 12 doesn't show a lot of defense. Well, out of all the teams that do show a little bit of defense, West Virginia is one of them. And so they're probably one of the better balanced teams in that conference. And, usually in the first half of these games, and they don't have anybody coming up next week, they'll lay it on Kansas in the first half. And I think, I don't know what the first half number is, and it's probably around 19 or 18. They'll be up by 3 or 4 touchdowns after the first half.
Yeah, it's 17.5 on the over-under there. Bob, I was telling our people earlier that I played a halftime play. I took all the Wood games. I took Alabama this week, Ohio State, Memphis, Georgia, and I took Boise State all at halftime. And now that I'm looking at Boise State, San Diego State game, I'm going to have to come back and bet it on the under on 5 dimes because San Diego State's coming in with their second-string quarterback, their third-string running back. They're not going to have any offense today. Boise State's got a good D, and San Diego State's got a decent defense. I see that game going under.
I agree with you. I wrote down the same note that San Diego State's quarterback is out and the running back is out, and their defense is I wouldn't put them elite, but I would say they're good, solid defense. And the total I saw was last night I thought it was 51 or 52.
Right.
What do you got?
I got 51.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's gonna Boise goes ahead and they have a solid defense and their offense, they can move the ball but I don't see this game. I don't see San Diego State putting up more than 14 points and if that's the case, it's you're looking at 42-14 or to go over, and I can't see anybody putting 42 points on the San Diego State defense.
Now, Rocky Long, former defensive coordinator and defensive coach, who's really had form reversals in the last several years with 2 great running backs and reignited the San Diego State Aztecs offense. Not to the days of Don Coryell by any means, but nevertheless, I think this number's too big. I saw Boise State play. I don't know about the total number, and it is at 51, as you mentioned. The 14, I think 14 might be just an inflated number. That would be a lot of points to give. San Diego State's defense played very well. They're playing very well. They played very well against Stanford, and they're playing very, very good football right now. When you look at games like you were just talking about, like how many points would team score, case in point, that Alabama-Arkansas game is a total at 58. But the Alabama Crimson Tide are favored by 35.5. So what do you make of the score in this game with 35.5 and 58 is the total, Bob.
Your Arkansas team, Bob.
I don't particularly care for the game. 35.5 against the Arkansas team, and I said last week I thought Arkansas was one of the worst teams in the country when they played A&M, and at least last week they tried and they gave an effort, and you could tell they were really giving an effort. So at home this week, getting 35 points, I wouldn't want to take it. I wouldn't want to lay it. So I just stay away from this game, even though I think Alabama is by far the best team in the country, just because this year they have such a dynamic quarterback and they got all the parts around him. But this Arkansas team, I don't know if they could score, Felix. Their offense over the years has been pretty good and solid, but this year they look mediocre. So I don't care for this game at all. I think there's a lot of other games on the slate that interest me.
All right, 20 minutes before kickoff of the Alabama-Arkansas game, going 9 o'clock here on the West Coast. So you said you have other games. Which would be a key game that you're zeroing in on?
This is one of my angles that I like to play. LSU is playing Georgia next week. Big game on the slate for them. I think they could be overlooking a Florida team that has played very well the last 2 weeks, and they're getting 2.5 this week. I like Florida at home in the Swamp, getting 2.5 points.
You hear that, Matty B? You hear that?
Yeah, I hear that. Where are they going to score? How are they going to score? What did they put up last week?
They put up
13 points?
I think it was like 13 or 14 points against a good Mississippi State defense, and I think it's going to be. I do think it's going to be one of these 10-7s or 14-10s. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I haven't seen LSU, really light up the scoreboard either.
They put up 48 points last week
against Mississippi.
Yeah, a team that everyone thought there was a trap game.
Mississippi gives up points that I forget who they. It was Northern Illinois State or something like that. They were at a slugfest in the third week of the season. I mean, this Mississippi team is atrocious on defense.
Yeah, Matty B.
So you like Florida with the points, but do you like the under?
Yes.
So what's your point?
So I'm good.
So what's your point, Matty B?
That the great Bob Hutton is in agreement with me.
Yeah.
You like the under?
I like Florida, and I do like the under. I like Florida, but I like in the game. I like Florida.
All right. What other game, Bob?
Well, in a not so sexy game, Georgia Southern is going to kick the snot out of South Alabama today. Bama's got a lot of injuries, and they give up a lot of points. And one of the other games that I saw today is I think I like NC State -5 versus BC. Dillon, maybe the top running back in the country, he's got an ankle problem, and he's not going to be very effective today, even if he goes. And the other game that I like the under in the Auburn and the Mississippi State game. Either team can score. I think I made a point last week that I like Southern Miss plus the points and under in that game, and Auburn. I think they beat them by 14 or something like that. But it wasn't a high-scoring game either. And this Auburn team offensively is as good as they are defensively. They're not very good on offense.
North Carolina State's laying 6.5 right now. So you would lay the 6. Yeah, you would lay the 6.5.
Yeah, I'd lay the 6.5 because they're playing. North Carolina State's playing pretty good football right now, and if Dillon's hurt for BC, if he's not 100% and he can't carry the rock, then that changes everything for BC. And BC, even I like this team, but over the last couple of weeks, they've given up a lot of points.
Yeah, they have. They fell apart. They fell apart against Purdue just last weekend. What about on the West Coast here? What do you think about the Pac-12? Washington at UCLA, Utah is at Stanford, California is at Arizona, Washington State and Oregon State draw a line through that. What do you think about any of the Pac-12 games tonight?
Well, as far as the Pac-12 is concerned, out of all of them, I like Cal -3 at Arizona. Tate hasn't looked himself all year, and I don't know if it's a change of the offense, but then all of a sudden you throw in the fact he's playing on three legs, or one leg. A horse would be playing on three legs. He's playing on one leg,
Well, that's
and he
good.
is totally ineffective. He can't get anything done. And this Cal team, I liked them last week against Oregon, and they got stopped on the 1 yard line, and they fumbled, and Oregon ran the fumble back. So they had some miscues that really probably that game would have been a lot closer, or even maybe on their side if they didn't have those mistakes. But I think this Arizona team's not very good.
Yeah, I agree with you. UNLV, a team that we've been watching, and you've been watching, Bob Hutton. UNLV playing New Mexico State. This game opened up 13. Now it's dropped to 8.5. Is there a key player out for UNLV?
UNLV's quarterback is out, so that's why.
That's the reason. See, this is the information, Captain, that you need to know. You need to know the injury reports, because why did that line drop from 13.5? One of the games I had circled, because this quarterback from UNLV is supposed to be the real deal.
You only get that on the bottom
good.
line. Go ahead, Bob.
He's pretty good. He's a left-handed kid. I don't recall his name, but he can move in the pocket, and they put up points on the board. And now I just read yesterday that he wasn't going to play, and now they're with their backup, and that's probably why the line moved. I didn't particularly like the game, but I just thought there were other options out there. But I wouldn't play UNLV tonight. I know that.
Hey, let's hear for East Carolina. They were our doormat last year. We made fun of them, but they're having a pretty good year.
They're better, but this Temple team is better too. And
not per my eye.
Huh?
Not per my eye.
I think they are. I think East Carolina's going to. I think they'll be on the wrong end today.
I mean, Temple is, they're not banging any doors down by any means.
No, but this year different than most Temple teams, though, Felix. This is different. This team can score, and they give up points, and the total in that East Carolina game is 55. It's probably going over.
All right, so there we go. We eke out a play of the East Carolina Temple game and play the over.
Yep.
All right, Matty B, you got that? You're documenting everything. That. And Matty B, I'm sure you went to Google to find out what the quarterback's name from UNLV. Did you do that?
No, I'm still scratching my head over the line change of Arizona and Cal, where earlier in the week it was Arizona, a 2.5-point favorite, and all of a sudden at the end of the week they become a 3-point dog.
That's altitude.
Altitude, what?
Khalil Tate.
It's the Stanford altitude.
Hey, I thought the game was in Utah when I was first looking at it. That's my fault.
But that's the altitude. They go to the desert.
Hey, Bob, quick question on the get back game of the day, the last game of the day. Fresno State is minus 15 going into Nevada. Fresno State looked pretty good last week.
They looked pretty good, and the Nevada team. The Nevada team isn't. They're not. They don't seem to be to me watching them a 15-point underdog at home. Tough call for me on this one because I think this Fresno team is pretty good and well balanced, and they spread the ball around the field. They can run the ball between the tackles. They're a pretty good club, but boy, when I saw this number, I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because I like this Fresno team, and I've watched the Nevada team, and the Nevada team's been, they could put points on the board, and I just don't know if I think it's just too many. But I don't want to bet against Fresno in this spot just because I know they're pretty solid.
I like Fresno. Fresno's been my team all year long.
Yeah,
and,
they're pretty good.
They are. They put a lot of points, and they drive the ball down the field. They don't make they don't waste any time in getting to the point that they need to get to, and that's the goal line.
There's Felix, just to make a point there. There's some good teams this year that are under the radar a little bit that usually would compete against Boise State, and Utah State and Fresno State are two of those clubs. They're pretty solid clubs.
Oh, Utah State looked fantastic against BYU. BYU, I don't know what happened. The last 2 weeks, they've gone somewhere else because they can't tackle. They look absolutely horrible the last 2 weeks, and Utah State just came in and smoked them.
Well, they got smoked by Washington the week before.
And I played Utah. That was one of my plays last night. I played Utah State, and the line was only 2.5. And I've watched Utah State, especially when they played Michigan State this year. They could have beat Michigan State. I mean, they were right there with them. And this team is really under the radar as far as how good they are.
What about the big game of the week, Bob Hutton?
Which game's that?
Syracuse and Pittsburgh.
Oh, I you know what? Pittsburgh is. I thought that they would go ahead and be a better defensive squad. And they have just given up so many points. And I think the Orangemen are pretty solid. I just don't know how much of a hangover they have from that tough beat last week at Clemson. So I don't like it. But I certainly couldn't play the Panthers after watching them for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They just don't look very good to me. And Syracuse looks good, but I just don't know if they've got a hangover from last week.
See, didn't I tell you, Matty B? Didn't I tell you?
Hold on. I told you. Don't be switching around here. I'm the one that said that earlier. Thank you very much.
Ohio State, Matty B. Ohio State plays the Hoosiers, a 27-point favorite.
Yeah, this is Ohio State just, relishing in their victory last week against Penn State, and they come out and they're going to put it on Indiana early and often. The one team in the Big Ten that you can count on to actually provide when they're needed to, and this is Ohio State here to do that again for the Big Ten, because Michigan is going to end up being a disappointment. Michigan State's going to end up being a disappointment. Wisconsin, Iowa, anybody else. It's Ohio State's ball with the Big Ten, and they're running with it.
Not so fast. Not so fast. All right. Indiana, remember, they were looking ahead last week to this game, according to my friend Bob Hutton.
Uh-huh.
And
they still don't have the talent to stop them.
No, but I'll guarantee you they cover the 27. You want to
through the back door.
27.
What's that? What's that, Matty B?
Oh, this is your back door catch for the first half?
No, it's not my back door. This is
it's a first half play for me. Yeah, I bet Ohio State in the first half.
He's off on his first half bets right now. So all of a sudden he reinvented the first half bet.
No, Bob Hutton just makes a lot of sense.
But Hut, I need your opinion on the night game. The night game. The Irish going into Vodka. Going into that place at night.
Wow, that's a tough scenario for them. This is going to be on the rest of their season. This is going to be their toughest game.
They play Pittsburgh next week.
What were you saying?
Notre Dame plays Pittsburgh next week. It's not the toughest game yet.
Okay, so this is going to be the Irish's toughest game, and as far as Virginia Tech is concerned, they really surprised me last week when they beat Duke with their backup quarterback after coming back from that. And their defense looked pretty good up until they ran into that powerhouse Old Dominion 2 weeks ago. And so I would say that this is a tough spot. But Notre Dame is playing very good, and their quarterback has distributed the ball well. They're running the ball between the tackles good. They've got good balance. Their defense is, I think it's exceeded the expectations. This is a coin flip for me as far as that's concerned. But I would think the Irish would get out of there with the win. I just don't know if they'll cover the number.
The last time the Irish were in this position, going on a ranked team at night and favored on the road, was Miami last year.
Miami.
And the turnover chain reigned supreme in that game, and Miami romped them by 33 points.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left. Best bet, Bob Hutton.
Well, I'm going to, like I told you last Sunday, I don't have any one best bet, but I'm going to say Texas +7. I'm going to say Cal -3. I'm going to say under in the Auburn game, 44. And I'm going to say Florida +2.5, and Southern and Georgia Southern -13.5.
All right,
I got 5 of them.
Hurry up, Matty B. One best bet.
Now I'm going with 2. Under LSU, Florida, over Oklahoma, Texas.
All right. I'm going to go with under on Boise State, San Diego State, under 51. And I look for Alabama at halftime.
All righty. Well, I got a big headache right now with all these bets, but we'll calculate them. We'll put them into a rotation of firepower. And we'll check in with you, Bob Hutton, tomorrow, along with Matty B, the captain, the Bottom Line Sports Show. We're back with Truck Talk right after this on the WS Radio Network.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Cybersecurity is the fastest growing job sector. The SoCal Cyber Cup Challenge encourages kids to consider computer security as an interesting course of study and a valuable career path. Securing Our eCity helps lead this youth competition to create interest and awareness among students and their schools. The SoCal Cyber Cup Challenge. Learn more at securingourecity.org or call 619-630-2444.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 more hours. That's 866-734-6877.